Hi, this is Greg Koopman. I'm going to discuss today about squashing the IT SSAS Cube initiative fears forever. I'm going to explain to you the problem involved in implementing an SSAS Cube initiative in your company. I will then explain the solution, and finally what it takes to implement the solution, or the how. The problem: IT department fears of Cube initiatives. The solution: squashing the fears with the Cube operational guy. The how, part 1, quickly reaching the operational level through training. How, part 2, the training plan. The problem: IT fears of Cube initiatives. There are levels to learning, and to try to learn too much too quickly can lead to great frustration and possibly giving up on the learning goal altogether. Most companies' database workers are working very hard already and just do not have the time to learn another technology such as cubes. When evaluating the perceived learning curve, they quickly conclude that it is impossible to expect them to learn this new skill set. Management also agrees. Managers know they could benefit from a business intelligence technology like cubes. They already have legal access and ownership of the technology via their SQL Server licenses. The problem is that they are afraid that when they hire an employee or contractor to create this cube environment, they will only have one point of failure as far as personnel backup is concerned. If they lose that employee or a contractor, they will be in serious trouble, because it is not so easy to find someone that has the experience and knowledge to keep the BI system going when and if an error occurs or future changes and enhancements are needed. I had an interview with a prospective client the other day, and the following question was asked: once a cube is built and the person who built the cube leaves, how can we support it? Our offshore support team does not know anything about cubes. I emphasize that if you have a cube, you need support, so that if there are errors or enhancements, they can be handled. Now, this support could be remote or in-house or both. I also said that you cannot expect anything in technology to run without failures, which they all did recognize. In fact, IT specialists work very hard on contingency plans for every sort of failure, so why would cubes be any different? I have been seeing data professionals and management's fear of the cubes and its associated learning curve for the past 18 years, and things really have not changed much. The BI vendor does not present plans that might curtail their own financial interests. The practical path would include getting to 70 or 80% of the potential value from the cube technology, and a much, much lower cost of ownership and implementation. The option given to the IT manager by BI vendors is that we will give you 98% of what OLAP can do, but it's going to cost you big. The manager is not offered the Ford, but only the Ferrari. With such an expensive option, many managers just choose to walk. They go back to the old SQL queries and report writer. Things go this way until the new CEO comes in and says, "What's wrong with the IT department? We don't have any real OLAP technologies." Then it starts all over again. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. The solution: squashing the fears, the long-term sustainable plan. The operational level computer guy is the key. These fears are based on real problems. Most IT professionals don't know the first thing about cubes or how to maintain them. The bottom line is that you need people that are at least to the operational level knowledge of cubes to help in the first line of defense against problems. The key is how to train a couple employees to this operational level as fast as possible. Operational level cube guys are the real solution to the real problem of the whole cube initiative dilemma. By getting an in-house person to the operational level, their chances of curtailing problems before they exist, solving problems that do, and acting as a learning liaison to an outside consultant in times of true crisis. Changes the odds for a viable BI solution from dismal to pretty good. An operational level cube guy will probably not carry the title with cube or BI in it. They could be a DBA or a junior senior database developer. Lower level cube support is just one of their responsibilities. If they show great interest in cubes and self-motivation to learn more, then you will probably end up eventually with a full-time cube developer homegrown from within the company, the best kind. Quickly reaching the operational level through training and limiting OLAP features. The first step in the trainee learning about cubes is actually creating one. After you create a basic cube from start to finish, with only a few bells and a couple whistles, and overseeing his daily builds, the trainee will quickly climb to the operational level cube guy status. He will start to understand through daily operations and exposure what a cube is and where it may be lacking in functionality. The whole experience should begin to pique the trainee's interest and hunger for learning more. How do you create a basic cube without first learning all the techniques that make up OLAP? The answer flatly is that you do not need to know and understand all the techniques that make up OLAP, just a short list of the most important ones. This basic cube will not be an exercise in showcasing all the features of OLAP, but just a small percentage of them. By getting data into a basic cube and processing the cube, your company will reap up to 80% of the rewards. Now that is what I call low-hanging fruit. How? Part 2. I believe that learning a new technology should be looked at as a project. The project will have a goal and milestones. Since you don't know that much about cubes yet, who will create the trainee milestones? What I am going to do is give you the trainee's first milestone and walk you through it. The trainee's long goal is to become proficient in cube design, implementation, operations, and MDX/DAX so that she can provide solutions to most of your internal customers' requests. Trainees' first milestone is way less aggressive. Their first milestone is to create a simple cube along with many boilerplate MDX measures that are updated every day and consumed by the IT department's customers via Excel pivot tables. In other words, a deliverable. Training personnel to the operational level. Learning these technologies can be done efficiently with the right plan. The learning plan that is too aggressive and seeks reaching milestones that are unrealistic is a problem and where everything gets messed up. I will give you a tennis analogy. Let's say you are a high school tennis coach and training a decent high school athlete who has never played tennis before. The tennis season starts in 3 months and your new player must compete for the team. You cannot teach him to play the way a professional tennis player of 20 years plays. Instead, you identify the easiest way to make the person competitive for match play in the season. The expectations for how well you can get him to play must be restricted to their aptitude and the time they have for training. So you are not going to teach them all the fancy advanced shots. No, you are going to teach them the minimum raw basics to get them to the season and which will allow them to maybe win a few matches for the team. You must create a realistic learning on-ramp that is effective, not crazy. By throttling the expectations and learning process over time, you might have quite a solid good player in a few years that could help the team immensely. Expectations that are too high and learning speeds that are too fast to keep up with will turn a possibly good situation into a disastrous one. The same holds true for the trainee attempting to learn cubes. The detailed plan to train the trainee to the operational level quickly will be shown in future videos. The plan objectives, steps, and requirements. Number 1. Employee must be someone that already knows data and has an aptitude for development. Must have a basic concept of what a star schema is. Check a video or two on YouTube. Number 2, when you start MDX or DAX, I will give you the basic boilerplate formulas for the trainee measures. You will be using these measures without having to understand the underlying theories. Number 3, use a star schema. Do not use Snowflake. 4, no many-to-many relationships. 5, no parent-child relationships. The dimension type of the parent-child dimension relationship. Have a date dimension set up already. Use date data type for your primary key. Number 7, use a regular calendar. No fiscal calendars. Number 8, do not set up any dimension attribute hierarchies. Number 9, absolutely no changing dimensions type 2s. Number 10, only one fact table. 10 million rows or smaller. Make sure only one granularity exists in the table. Number 11, abstract all relational dimension and fact tables as views. Then call only these views from the cube when setting up the cube's data view. 12, in the relational dimension views, union the -1 unknown record to each view if it is not already in the relational date dimension table. Do a full build every day of the cube, starting with each dimension, then the fact table, always in that order. You should have no cube partitions or partition aggregations. Number 15, do not try to learn MDX or DAX yet. I will give you a lot of boilerplate formulas you can use at the beginning. That will give your customers a bunch of metrics that will be extremely useful to them right off the bat. Number 16, do not use surrogate keys for the relational dimension or fact tables unless they are already in the table originally. (17) Either have foreign key constraints set up on the fact table to ensure that no orphan rows are allowed in the fact table. By doing this at the relational database level, this will eliminate many possible errors when building the cube. 18. A primary key must be set up for each dimension table, and that will be related directly to the associated foreign key column in the fact table. Number 19. Learn how to set up sorting of the dimension attributes. This should be a technique laid out the same for each attribute in the cube. This will be somewhat difficult to get used to on the first one, but easy for everyone after that. Number 20, set up a pivot table in Excel to read the data from the cube. And that concludes the list. Now, some of these are best practices, and some of them break what we would be called best practices. I don't want you to worry about breaking best practices right now. The main thing is to get a cube built and get used to feeding that cube and maintaining that cube. You can change when you want to get more sophisticated. You can go and change some of these practices that are not best practices to best practices. The how, part 2. Part 2b. Future Milestone 2. Once you get the basic cube built based on some basic training, now I emphasize the word basic. Then it can get really hard if you try to add features and new formulas to solve more sophisticated problems. This is where you have basically 3 choices or some combination of them. A. Call in a seasoned BI professional, write the MDX redesign the cube, data warehouse, etc., and learn what they are doing and why. By the way, did I mention make sure you learn from them? I am warning you, if you do not learn from them and you have no one else with the expertise to handle the problems when these more sophisticated error and problems occur, then yes, you may start getting heartburn, panic attacks, etc. By the way, did I make sure to learn from them what exactly they are doing and why? While you're at it, maybe it could be a good time to document. B. Get a good cube development environment set up and Google, read, and everything in between to learn how to set up the new enhancements. This is what I do a lot, but I am a contractor and I have to know a lot more than just how to solve the problem in front of me. And spending all weekend working on a small technique is worth it to me. Keep multiple backups of the dev cube so you can experiment and always go back to a working copy. C. Learn how to write MDX queries. You can create a linked server to the analysis services cube and run open query statements from within a stored procedure passing MDX query strings to the cube, and it will return a flat row set. This is toward the intermediate/advanced level, but it helps because once you get the cube data back as a table in a stored procedure, you can then manipulate it into the kind of table you need using SQL statements rather than learning more advanced MDX to get the final results. D. Simply tell the customer, your internal customer, that you do not have a resource that can make those changes or enhancements to the cube at this time. Hey, this is better than riding the 20-foot wave when you're just learning to swim. The how, part 2C. How is Greg Koopman's YouTube's channel going to help you? The point is that as long as it is the right 10%, this first step can work for him. Just think about Microsoft Word. How much of its capabilities do you know? Maybe 10%? But you know that 10% makes a great product for you to use. You also know that if you try to do more fancy stuff with Word, it's going to take a bit or a lot more learning. The point is, you know the right 10% of Word to get you to make Word a very worthwhile tool to use. The same goes for the cube. If you create a cube that uses 10% of its features, you will still be much further ahead than not using the technology at all. This concludes this presentation. Thank you for listening. If you would like to get a PDF file of this presentation, please click on the link below in the description area of this YouTube video. Thank you. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you need help solving SQL Server problems, I offer a remote help service for writing code, configuration, and training. You can go to my website shown below for more information. I hope this video has helped you and made your day a little better. Thank you.